Thanks, everybody, and thanks for joining us today. My name is Kim Palmer. I am the Program Director here at Miles Partnership for the Destination Optimization Program. What I'd like to do today is give you a quick overview of what destination optimization is and how it can be used in your destination as an action-oriented bridge to bridge the gap between destination marketing and destination management. We all know that the pandemic has really accelerated that trend where our DMOs have to become more proactive in destination management. And this destination optimization really provides some of the tools that we can use to do this within our community. As well, we know that recovery is going to require more than marketing, that there needs to be a holistic approach to both driving consumer interest through our marketing, but also really building that consumer confidence on the other end when they dive in and do their travel planning research. Now, our travel planning research looks a little bit like this. Travelers tend to have hundreds of digital touch points over the course of choosing their destination, making their travel planning arrangements, and actually experiencing your market. Well, a lot of those touch points are ones that you control: your website, your advertising, your social media channels, and even your earned media. But we know that hundreds more are taking place on platforms that we don't necessarily directly control or influence organically, including Google, TripAdvisor, Facebook. Even folks like Airbnb have gotten into the destination experience arena. And while we don't manage these platforms directly, we know that the hundreds of micro decisions involved in folks visiting and choosing our markets happen in this area, not to mention all of the transactions. So destination optimization, the purpose of destination optimization is to expand the role of your DMO to influence more touch points across those major travel planning platforms, so that you can amplify important messages and empower your local industry partners to have more positive economic outcomes. Now, we have three objectives within destination optimization. The first is stewardship. Stewardship involves supporting a positive perception of your market. Then there's readiness. Readiness is when we are going hands-on to the businesses in the community and preparing them to be more digitally upskilled. And the last is vibrancy, where we are increasing the visibility and reach of your existing destination assets. So I'd like to tell you a little bit more about each of those. First is stewardship. Now, stewardship is where we ask the question: if you're not paying attention to how your destination is represented online, then who is? Because if you're not, you can find situations such as Las Vegas, New Mexico, where their lead photo in Google Travel was one from Las Vegas, Nevada. Or if you are searching for a destination and filter those accommodations by those who are only taking health and safety measures at their lodging, you may find that your market suddenly goes from 247 properties to only 66. Now, we know everybody in your community is taking health and safety measures, so this is really because those businesses are not proactively filling out their health and safety information on TripAdvisor. Or for the example of Basalt, Colorado. Now, this market is known as a trout fishing mecca. It's at the convergence of two important rivers, and yet in Google Maps, one of those two rivers was completely missing. The good news is that when we are proactive in stewardship, we're able to address and resolve these problems, or even anticipate them before they happen. In Sarasota, we recently had an incident where some frustrated residents tried to mark the beach as temporarily closed on Google. And because Visit Sarasota and the county had control of the listings for the beaches, they were able to resolve that in really less than a day. Or the Salt River Pima Maricopa Indian community in Arizona pretty much didn't exist in Google Travel, and yet there are many wonderful, vibrant attractions in that area. And through working with Google, we were able to turn that around to present a better reflection of that community on that travel planning platform. Or in Saudi Arabia, one of their first UNESCO World Heritage Site was named incorrectly on Wikipedia, which was propagating through to places like Apple and Google. And by getting that Wikipedia listing updated, we were able to start the trend of having that location referenced correctly. So in Readiness, we are seeking to support the businesses in your community with digital upskilling. Now, during COVID-19, we did dozens of training presentations for local businesses on how to utilize their online listings to communicate what their current health and safety scenarios were. In particular, in the state of North Carolina, these presentations interwove the messaging of their Count on Me and See initiative for both businesses and consumers to help get the word out both to businesses and to the folks visiting those businesses about what health and safety features were in place. Readiness can also be a diversity, equity, and inclusion strategy for your destination. For example, in Minneapolis, Meet Minneapolis and the city of Minneapolis work together with a number of community associations to evaluate and help to upskill the businesses in those communities that they were looking to do more visitor dispersal to those markets. Now, this actually was prior to the unrest of last year, and Meet Minneapolis has said that this program really helped lay that foundation of trust with those communities, which is now being used to build new marketing and outreach for those locations. In travel in Oregon and also in Portland, they are working with tools and technology to integrate their business listings from Google and other platforms directly into their core tourism listing database so that it can be used across a lot of their products. By providing a tool that is a beneficial marketing tool for the businesses, we are, rather than having to beg businesses for their listing information, we now have enthusiastic participation around that. Vibrancy is where we are looking at the visual representation of your market across platforms. And again, much like stewardship, if you're not paying attention, some of the user-generated content on these platforms can really get out of hand. These are just a few of the examples of some both amusing and somewhat disturbing images we have found in the galleries for primary attractions, restaurants, and hotels and travel markets. In the last 3 years, we've worked with over 250 destination marketing organizations around the country who have uploaded 115,000 images. These images have been viewed 1.5 billion times across Google products. Yes, billion with a B. And this is all unpaid organic outreach. So to tie it all together, I'd like to talk a little bit about the state of New Mexico and New Mexico's Digital Readiness Program. The New Mexico Tourism Department worked with 32 DMOs around the state, and then ultimately with the state parks, Bureau of Land Management, National Forests, and other outdoor areas in the community. Now, in the initial evaluation, we could see that there was a lot of room for improvement. We had beautiful outdoor areas that had no street view, either no trails existing in those areas or things that hadn't been updated in 5 to 10 years. As much as I love cats, I think these kitties were probably not the best initial representation of Pecos, New Mexico. And many of the beautiful outdoor areas were really being represented by their parking lots and trail signs and not by their really vibrant, beautiful visuals. Through working together with the 32 DMOs, we evaluated over 4,000 business profiles and helped to upskill those businesses. The Welcome Center employees in New Mexico took part in the outreach to those businesses to make sure that they had claimed their important business profiles and were proactively managing them on platforms like Google My Business. We've also updated almost 100 miles of road throughout New Mexico on Google Street View and created hundreds of beautiful 360 images like the one you see here for Pecos. So sorry, kitty cats, but this one was a much better and more compelling representation of that market. We've also expanded the reach of these visuals in other ways. These 360s are also now a part of more than 50 virtual tours of the state that will be embedded in their website and distributed across other channels. So through a proactive effort of both stewardship, readiness, and vibrancy, the state of New Mexico has been able to help prepare local businesses to have stronger economic outcomes as we all recover from the pandemic. So thank you for having me here today to tell you a little bit more about destination optimization. If you have questions about how these principles can be applied in your market, please reach out to me at kim.palmer@milespartnership.com. Thank you.